Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll discuss about velocity acceleration of the forced oscillator. I hope you have gone through the differential equation of forced oscillator and how do we calculate its solution. So the solution basically is very important because it basically gives us the displacement of the oscillations of forced oscillator. All right. So now we'll discuss about the how the velocity of the forced oscillator in steady state of the forced oscillator is behaving. Let us see it now. At any instant of time, you know that velocity is nothing but it is the rate of change of displacement, and we know that the displacement value for the forced oscillator, which was basically the solution of the differential equation of the forced oscillator, which is x is equal to minus of I f naught e raised to the power I omega t minus of I divided by omega into z naught. All right, now differentiate it because it is the displacement. When we differentiate it, we'll get the value of velocity. Rate of change of displacement naturally will give you the value of velocity. When we differentiate it, you can see here minus I f naught omega z naught is the constant quantity. Will differentiate only the exponential function. Again, in the exponential function, omega is the variable, whereas this factor is again the constant quantity. When we differentiate exponential, it will be same, but it will be differentiation of its power. That means it will be I omega. When I multiply I with I, it will give you I square, and I square is always minus 1. That means minus minus will be plus. That means the value of velocity comes out to be finally as f naught upon z naught e raised to the power I omega t minus of phi. That means we can see here, because it is the function of exponential, that means naturally it is the complex form of the velocity. This equation basically represent number 1, the velocity amplitude is f naught upon z naught. You can see here from the formula. All right, and is maximum when the exponential term will be maximum. That means when the exponential term will be maximum, it is approximately is equal to 1. All right, so this will give you the maximum value of amplitude. Second is when the phi, what is this phi? Phi is nothing but it is the phase difference between the velocity and the deriving force. That means when the phi is equal to 0, that means it will become the velocity is nothing but it will be v is equal to f naught divided by z naught e raised to the power I omega t. That means zero phase difference between both of them, which means that the velocity and the force are in phase with each other. All right, this is the case when the value of phi is equal to 0. Third case is the real part of the velocity. We know that it is the function of exponential. That means we can write it always as it will be cos of omega t minus phi plus I into sine of omega t minus phi, whereas cos of omega t minus phi is the constant real part. That means the real part of the velocity will be f naught upon z naught cos of omega t minus phi. Finally, which will give you, we can change it into the form of sine, because we know that when we go into the second quadrant, the cosine and the sine functions changes. That means it will be f naught upon z naught sine of omega t minus of I plus pi by 2. By adding the angle of 90 degree, we'll go to the second quadrant, but it will be the same value of cos omega t minus of phi. When I compare it with the equation number 9, what is equation number 9? It is nothing but it is the value of velocity basically. All right, value of displacement. All right, which we have got from the solution of the differential equation, right? When I compare it with that, that means I will get it at, it is clear that the velocity always leads the displacement by phase difference of pi by 2. This is basically important. The question is like, prove that velocity always leads the displacement by a phase difference of 90 degree in case of forced oscillator. And sometimes the multiple choice questions are asked that what is the phase difference between the velocity and the displacement of the forced oscillator. So I hope it is now clear that how the phase difference is being calculated and what is the velocity of the forced oscillator. Next, we have acceleration of the forced oscillator in the steady state behavior. All right, we know that again the acceleration is nothing but it is the rate of change of velocity. We just calculated the value of velocity as f naught upon z naught e raised to the power I omega t minus of I. When I differentiate, I will get this factor as I omega f naught upon z naught e raised to the power I omega t minus of phi. When I take, again it is the complex quantity, can be written in the form of cosine and sine function. That means when I write exponential in the form of sine and cosine, I will get it as cos of omega t minus of phi plus I sine omega t minus of phi. When I introduce this I inside, I will get the I will get the real part as minus of omega f naught upon z naught sine of omega t minus of phi. Let us see what is the final value actually. See here, this will be when I introduced my I inside, I will get it as I omega f naught upon z naught cos of omega t minus of phi minus of omega f naught upon z naught sine of omega t minus of phi. That means this minus omega z naught upon z, f naught upon z naught sine of omega t minus phi is basically the real part of the excitation which is given by this form. Now because I need to compare again it with the displacement of the forced oscillator, all right, you can see here this is the value of displacement, all right. So now when I change or convert it into the form of a phase difference, that means I can write it as omega f naught upon z naught cos of omega t minus of phi plus pi by 2, all right, because cos of this addition again will go into the second quadrant but with the minus of, because minus of sine omega t minus of phi can be written as cos omega t minus phi plus addition of 90 degree. That means when this will go into the second quadrant, minus of sine theta can be written as equal to cos of phi plus 90 degree, all right. That means what is this? You know that omega f naught upon z naught is nothing but it is the amplitude of the oscillation acceleration. When I compare this acceleration with the displacement, again you can see from here that the phase difference between the displacement and the acceleration of the forced oscillator is 180 degree, because in the displacement there is a phase difference of 90 degree. That means 90 plus 90 will give you 180. You already know that because that is you can see here displacement is the function of sine, all right, and you already know the phase difference between the sine and cosine is always 90 degree, because sine starts its behavior from the origin whereas cos starts its behavior from the phase difference of 90 degree from the side. So there is already a phase difference between the 90 degree over sine and cosine, all right. So, and again the 90 degree phase angle is over here. That means addition of both the 90 degree will give you the phase difference of 180 degree between the displacement and the acceleration of the forced oscillator, all right. So I hope, again this is very important, generally the question is asked what is the phase difference. Multiple choice question will be what is the phase difference between the displacement and the acceleration. Is it 0, it is 90, is it 180 degree? That means you know that it is 180 degree now. And sometime the question is like prove that there is an phase difference of 180 degree between the displacement and the acceleration of the forced oscillator, all right. So I hope it is now clear. Next we'll move to the behavior of displacement of forced oscillator with driving force frequency, all right. You can see here the displacement. So this is basically very important. Generally the question is asked what is the behavior of the displacement of the forced oscillator with the driving force frequency. You know that what is driving force frequency? It is the frequency omega of the driving force, all right. And displacement, you know that the displacement of the forced oscillator is given as x is equal to this much. You are well aware of that, all right. Because it is the complex quantity, I can convert it into the cosine and sine function, introduce this I inside. That means finally I will get this kind of equation, and the real part of the displacement is given by f naught upon omega z naught multiplied by sine omega t minus of phi. You can see here what is the amplitude of the displacement. This is f naught upon omega z naught. That means basically when we deal with explaining the frequency and the displacement of the fourth oscillator, that means the amplitude basically plays a very important role. Because what is important in the oscillation, what is the outcome? Basically it is only the about the amplitude, what kind of amplitude we are getting through the oscillation, that is more important basically. See here, f naught upon omega z naught is the amplitude of the forced oscillator. That means the study of displacement amplitude at three stages of the frequency. All right, so it is basically important. So what are the three stages? That means one is when the frequency is very low, second one is the when the frequency is very high, and third one is the at the resonance frequency. All right, so in this case this resonance frequency is practically useful. It is the frequency at which our forced oscillator is basically oscillating for the practical purposes. All right, so let us see how it behaves on the low frequency, high frequency, and the resonance frequency. See here, what is the amplitude at low driving frequency? What do you mean by low driving frequency? That means the frequency omega is approximately going to give you the value 0. All right, that means the displacement amplitude is, you know that it is f naught upon omega z naught. All right, which is equal to f naught upon omega. This is the value of z naught which we have already derived in the previous sections. All right, so it is basically equals to, is approximately 0. That means when I apply this over here, that means what does it mean? When your driving force frequency is approximately 0, that means your amplitude basically gives you the value as, because you know that m omega will give you the 0 value. All right, that means whereas s omega cannot be taken as 0, which will be equals to r square plus s square upon omega square whole raised to the power 1 upon 2. If r is negligibly small, if we say that r is negligibly small, then your value of z naught is equal to approximately is equal to s upon omega only. And see here, this show that the mechanical impedance Z naught is stiffness controlled in that case, because at low frequency the value of amplitude is represented by AL, that will be approximately omega f naught upon omega z naught, whereas we have got the value of z naught at very low frequency approximately equal to s upon omega. Omega and omega will be cancelled out. That means your amplitude at low frequency is f naught upon s. Be careful, it is very important. All right, sometimes the numerical problems are based on it. Calculate the amplitude at low frequency. That means you must know the value of amplitude at low frequency, which is that means what is it, does it mean? That means the amplitude at low frequency basically depends upon the driving force. Secondly, it depends upon the stiffness constant. All right, and it is independent of the frequency of the forced oscillator. That means frequency of the driving force basically. All right, so this is a very important conclusion basically. That means it is independent of the frequency of the driving force. What is it? That means the amplitude at low frequency. So now let us see how it behaves at very high frequency. What do you mean by high frequency? That means omega will approximately leads to the value infinity. All right, and the value of amplitude, you know that it is f naught upon omega z naught, which has the value at high amplitude is represented by ah, which is f naught divided by this. All right, so this is the mechanical impedance. So let us see how this mechanical impedance basically behaves when the omega goes to infinity. When omega goes to infinity, that means m omega naturally will go to infinity. S upon omega, s upon infinity always gives you the value 0. All right, which proves that the value of z naught basically comes out to be is equal to, it will be is equal to only see here, the value of amplitude at high frequency will be only f naught upon m omega. All right, because m omega will be surviving over here. That means your value of amplitude is nothing but it will be f naught upon m omega, which will be is equal to f naught upon infinity. What is m omega? M omega is nothing but it is the infinite value. That means something divided by infinity always gives you 0. What does it mean? That means amplitude is equal to 0. Means our forced oscillator basically does not oscillate at very high frequency. That means very high frequency is not required for the forced oscillator. All right, that means the amplitude, displacement amplitude of the forced oscillator almost approaches to zero when the frequency of the applied force is very large, very large in fact. All right, so that means this is not practically feasible actually. All right, that means we, our forced oscillator do not require very high value of frequency of the driving force. All right, so this is again a very important conclusion, and this is important as far as here, see here, when I talk about end term examination, that means the question is theoretically आपको लग ही रहा है कि it is important. Naturally you will get the question how it behaves at various frequencies. All right, and when you talk about the multiple choice question, when you are basically concerned with your competitive exam, naturally the multiple choice question, how it, what is the value of amplitude at very high frequency. All right, and what is it? It is approximately zero. So now let us see how it behaves at resonance frequency. What is resonance? Resonance occurs when the amplitude is maximum. That is what we require actually. All right, that means what we are expecting from the forced oscillator. That means the oscillations we are getting from the forced oscillator, it should always have the maximum amplitude. That maximum amplitude basically occurs when the resonance occurs. See here, you know that displacement amplitude is given as A is equal to F naught upon omega Z naught. All right, this amplitude will be maximum when the denominator is minimum. This is so natural. All right, that means this amplitude is going to give you the maximum value when the denominator is minimum. When the denominator is minimum, when the differential coefficient of this denominator is basically equal to zero. All right, this is what we have done in our previous topics, that when we get some maximum value, all right, that means the differential coefficient of that numerator basically goes to zero. Let us calculate that numerator. It is omega into z naught. We know that the value of z naught is nothing but it is this much. All right, when I differentiate it, it will be d upon d omega r square omega square. All right, plus I have actually simplified this equation. That means it will give you r square omega square plus m omega square minus of s square whole raised to the power 1 upon 2. All right, now differentiate it. Naturally it will be 1 upon 2 r square omega square. Be careful, just there is one mistake. I think it is also there in your book. It is minus of 1 upon 2. Naturally when I differentiate, it will be 1 upon 2 into this, and differentiation of this factor, again differentiation of this factor will be 1 upon 2 minus of 1, which will be give you basically minus of 1. That means don't forget to include minus 1 upon 2 over here. All right, and it will be is equal to this factor is equal to 0. All right, that means take this minus sign. Naturally it will be in the denominator. That means final expression you will get it as 2 omega r square plus this much divided by 2 into this raised to the power 1 upon 2 is equal to 0. All right, so finally what you will get, you will be getting, take 2 omega common from here. Naturally this denominator part will be 0. All right, when you cross multiply, all right, so you will get it as 2 omega r square. 2 omega cannot be 0. Product of two function is equal to 0 if and only if one of the factor is not equal to 0. That means 2 omega cannot be 0. That means this factor is going to give value 0. Let us see now what is next over here. See here, 2 omega is not equal to 0. That means this factor is 0. What is this? This is very important because we are going to calculate the value of frequency. That is what we are required over here, because we are interested to calculate the value of resonance frequency. See here, m omega square minus of s is nothing but it will be minus of r square upon 2m square. M omega square will be is equal to s minus of this factor omega square comes out to be is equal to this factor. That means omega is nothing but it is under root of omega naught square minus of r square upon 2m square. What does we conclude from here? See here, what is this omega naught? This is basically a natural frequency. All right, when you apply driving force, that means your frequency basically becomes is equal to omega. You can see here this factor is subtracting from the natural frequency. All right, that means our resonance frequency is basically a slight lesser than as compared to the natural frequency. All right, this is what we have concluded over here. That means which can be denoted by omega dash. This is basically a natural resonance frequency on which our oscillations are produced in the force oscillator practically. All right, so this shows that the frequency of the resonance is slightly less than the natural frequency in the presence of damping. That damping occurs because of that driving force. All right, and this is the situation in actual practice basically. In ideal case where damping is small, all right, ideal case is generally not actually realized in the actual practice, or okay, because there are so many errors and friction which are introduced in because of that, because of the environment. If I consider r is very small, that means this factor has to be neglected. All right, that means your oscillation basically start oscillating with the natural frequency, which is not practically realized. All right, but physics, as far as the physics is concerned, we can take it as a case. All right, so now see here, this is the variation of the displacement and the angular frequency, all right, or the driving frequency of the force oscillator. This is basically F naught upon S, all right. You know that this is the amplitude in the first case, all right. That means this is the case when the amplitude is basically stiffness controlled, all right. So we have discussed it in the first case when the frequencies, we know that, see here the frequency is low. When the frequency is very low, that means this is the value of amplitude basically. After that it start behaving like this. All right, see here, what is this? This is the natural frequency. That means how does it depend upon the damping constant? See here, this is your R1, this is your R2, and this is your R3. That means the value of R3 means what is this? You are basically decreasing your amplitudes, damping constants. See here, R1 is greater, R2 is lesser than R1, R3 is lesser than. See here, as we keep on decreasing the damping constant, that means our oscillator will start oscillating closer to the value of natural frequency. All right, that means जैसे जैसे R की value decrease होती जाएगी, means our oscillator tries to become an ideal oscillator, which oscillates with the frequency of the natural frequency. All right, so see here, this is the, I have seen some discrepancy over here. See here, as R decreases, the resonance frequency shift towards the resonance frequency omega naught. It is not there. As R decreases, the resonance frequency shift towards the natural frequency omega naught actually. Alright, so I hope now it is clear that how the things are behaving with the frequency and with the displacement. Alright, this was all for the day, and still if you are not able to understand, do let me know. Alright, so after that there is an homework for you all, so we'll discuss that on Monday. Alright, the homework is that you will go through the next topic, that is the variation of the phase difference between the velocity displacement and the frequency of the driving force. All right, that is that is basically an homework, is a homework for you. You will go through it and we'll discuss it on Monday. All right, I'll ask question based on that phase difference basically, that is logical actually. All right, and it is also again important as far as your competitive exams and your end term exams are concerned. All right, so I hope it is now clear, and still you are not, if you are not able to understand, do let me know. All right, this was all for the day. Thank you and have a nice day.